Colbert.
Here.
Please rise for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. God, thanks so much for today. Thanks for this season. God, around Christmas, it's so great to remember really why we celebrate the birth of your son, Jesus, and we're so grateful for that. And God, I pray tonight for this group of people in here. We're so thankful for their leadership, how they continue to sacrifice for our community. So grateful for that. Pray a blessing on their families and allow this meeting to go as smooth as possible. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item 6, administrative agenda 6A, city council meeting minutes of December 7th, 2021.
Move to approve the minutes of the December 7th, 2021 regular council meeting as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you again. Moving right along, we do not have any presentations or proclamations. So at this time, I will open the public forum. This is the time of the meeting where anybody here can speak to an item that is not on the agenda. And seeing none, we will move on. We have no appointments. No committees and commissions. We'll move along to old business item A, ordinance 1366-21, rezoning of property southwest of the intersection of 5th Street and Seneca Street for the second reading. Get up there. Ryan's not here.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm filling in for Ryan, so you're going to see quite a bit of me this evening. I do apologize. I'll stand for any questions.
At least he apologized first. There's no questions, Council. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve ordinance 1366-21, rezoning of land located southwest of the intersection of 5th Street and Seneca Street, Valley Center, Kansas, for second reading.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item B, ordinance 1367-21, rezoning of the property immediately east of 3059 East 5th Street for second reading.
Mayor and Council, I'll stand for any questions.
And we all remember this is the plot that was just zoned not too long ago and changed ownership. So
I make a motion to approve ordinance 1367-21, rezoning of land located immediately east of 3059 East 5th Street, Valley Center, Kansas, for second reading.
Second.
a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving along to new business. Item A, approval of city entrance signs bids.
Well, good evening, Mayor and members of council, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Before I forget, tonight before you in your packet, we are here to talk about the bid award for the city entry monument signs that we requested be put out for bid back on the November 2nd meeting. And very pleased with the bid results. We put it out to invited 12 bidders, 4 respondents. We had it on the city website. The 4 respondents had pricing all over the place, as you can see in your bid tabulation. Tonight, we are here requesting approval for 2 monument signs. In the original memo that I put out, we were requesting information or requesting for 3. The reason for that going down to 2 is because the location at the 69th and Meridian area has recent discussion, which I think City Administrator Clark will discuss a little later in the meeting regarding the location, and it just doesn't make sense to request that at this time. So the 2 that we're looking at would be the Ford and Broadway and the 85th and Broadway sign locations. George Lay Sign Company was the low bidder, and the requested amount tonight is $62,400 for the 2 signs. They are here in attendance tonight. Mary Wilson from George Lay Signs is with us. Should you have any questions, other than that, we would just ask for your approval for these signs.
Councilmember Colbert.
Yeah, I just have one question on the wall. What's the reason the school district is on there and not other organizations?
Part of the reason that the school district was listed on there was, well, I mean, it's.
Are they
it's a
paying
part of our
for it or
community.
are they contributing payment or anything?
I don't believe, I'll let Administrator Clark fill.
Yes, good evening again. We are in discussion with the school district on assisting in funding their portion of the Hornet as well as the wording of the home of USD 262. We want to tie that in with our recent decision and the council's approval of the artwork on the water tower. Whenever you look at branding, you look at cohesiveness and you look at the similar imagery when it comes to branding. And so we wanted to make sure that that was included on our entryway signs because of how proud we are of our incredible school district and the partnership and collaboration that we do have with them.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
I like the idea of including the Hornet. That's not my question. My question is, when will the projects start? When will they start building? Any idea?
It'll be later this spring,
Okay,
Mhm.
once it gets warmer.
right?
Perfect.
Probably. Ready?
Yeah, and so the next steps really is now to identify and approve and award the bid. And George Lay Sign Company making sure that they receive that award from us. And then we'll work with Mary and her excellent team to really identify the exact final design and rendering all those things. And we'll bring that back to the council to make sure you're aware of it. She had mentioned maybe some changes and tweaks, just the way it's cut to maybe, be a little bit more feasible and a little bit more cost effective with our design. So really, that was our concept. And now, we'll give it to the experts with the sign company to really perfect it. But it won't change the overall dollar amount, any great detail, dollar amount wise. And if it does, we will bring that back to you all. With that large discrepancy between the low bidder and the high bidder, even the low and the second place bidder, we made sure to contact George Lay and make sure that they knew and that we're all on the same page as far as our expectations from the city. And what the materials, the design, all those things. And so they were absolutely, accepting and willingness to do that. And then now once, if the council so chooses to approve these 2 signs, then we'll go ahead and get into the nitty gritty on the final design of these items.
Sure. Perfect. Thank you.
Councilmember Gregory.
We haven't talked about this to my recollection, but is there any possibility that we're going to put one on the west side of town?
We looked at all sides of town, actually, and at the time, we felt like these were probably the more needed areas. Not that we don't need one on the west side of town.
Or
Some
north.
of it, yeah, north included. I mean, we felt like that was a good place too, but we were also looking, concerned with cost and how far we go with that at this time as well. We might look at some other options for maybe a little smaller sized one or, with a similar concept or something like that at, a later time. But yes, we've definitely given that strong consideration for all 5 main entry points into town, if you will, over off of exactly where it would be still kind of up in the air, but kind of in that Sheridan and 81st Street area. Or not Sheridan, West Street, it's West Street out there, sorry, and 81st Street area. And then, of course, North Meridian, finding that defining spot that it really should go. These two spots out here on Broadway and Ford and Fifth are kind of naturally obvious spots. So
Any other?
Motion-
No?
Excuse me.
I was going to ask if there's any other questions.
Okay.
And then I have a comment. And in my opinion, by all means, the school district needs to be on that sign, because if it wasn't for the school district, I don't think the city would be thriving as it is right now too. So we definitely need to give them kudos, whether they're paying for it or not. So, okay.
Motion to approve low qualified bid from George Lay Signs, Inc. for 2 welcome signs in the amount of $62,400.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-1.
Thank you.
Excuse me. All right. Item B, Resolution 706-21, Arbor Valley Paving Authority. One of you two.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you this evening is very similar to what was previously passed with the Cedar Ridge subdivision. This is establishing special improvements for the Arbor Valley, formerly known as Hidden Valley. They went to go file that plat and did realize then that there is an existing Hidden Valley, which I thought was interesting. Because I had actually came up with that name off of kind of a joke. And then Mr. Marquez says, oh, I love it. And there is one existing. So I was kind of looking at, maybe some compensation for that naming, right? But, and so Arbor Valley is now what this subdivision is called. The plat and all those things and documents have been filed and recorded at the Register of Deeds office. Which was one of the key items, making sure that that was accomplished before this evening. So then we could pass the resolutions that were developed, of course, by Garth and Dominic with Gilmore Bell, and making sure that it does meet all the statutorily required wording and language for, I believe the first one is for paving.
That's what it says, paving.
I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions? Don't see any. Is there a motion? Wait. We have a question. Councilmember Kerstetter.
Just, I know the answer, I think. This is just going to be incorporated in their special taxes, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And split amongst the lots as stated in the resolution.
Okay.
Yes.
Anybody else? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve Resolution 706-21, authorizing paving improvements to the Arbor Valley subdivision.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving on to item B, which would be Resolution 707-21, Arbor Valley Water Authority.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I did forget to recognize that we do have Mr. Jeffrey Ray from JEO Consulting Group with us this evening to answer any questions. His firm JEO is the one that is working with the developer and the landowner on getting all of the special assessments established, as well as the next item on your agenda when it comes to the agreement with the city. So I did want to make sure to recognize that Mr. Jeffrey Ray did make the trip here this evening. Here before you is very similar to the one you just passed. This one is dealing with water. The city is, making sure that the water line and the main will be looped through the Cedar Ridge subdivision when the second phase is done, as well as there is adequate water along Ford Street during that project as well that PEC is designing and doing a fantastic job at. This one is for the specials throughout the subdivision identified per the resolution, and the subdivision that is filed plat is recorded at the Register of Deeds office. I'll stand for any questions.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
Not a question, but a thank you for whoever put all the upcoming subdivisions on the city's website. It helps me keep them straight. So thanks.
Absolutely. Yep. That was Ryan Schrack in the Community Development Department. And there's a wonderful, beautiful clickable link. If you go underneath of the business tab, that goes under then new residential subdivisions, and you'll see all the lovely new renderings that are being put on. It changes every day. We did receive the very nice illustrative version of Cedar Ridge this afternoon, and that should be put on the website here very shortly as well. And of course, Cedar Ridge, we do have Mr. Jeff Pritchard, who is a key stakeholder in the Cedar Ridge subdivision. I always have to take an opportunity to plug all of our wonderful developments upcoming in the 2022 year. Thank you for that, Councilman.
Especially the way these last couple have been changing names quite often. So, yeah.
Yes, it's nice to click on there and remember what they are. It's a great problem to have.
Yeah. All righty.
I move to approve Resolution 707-21, authorizing water improvements to the Arbor Valley subdivision.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right. Item D, approval of Arbor Valley Design Services Agreement Authority.
Good evening once again, Mayor and Council. Actually,
You know, if you hadn't sat down, you wouldn't have had to say that again.
I need a quick drink of
Okay,
coffee.
just saying.
Actually, I am going to defer my time to Mr. Jeff Ray, since he made the trip all the way from Nebraska. Mr. Ray, do you want to present what this is? Thank you.
You still could have just stayed up.
Clerk. Jeff Ray with JEO Consulting Group. Again, so this is a design agreement for you, basically to cover what you just approved for the water and the paving and the preparation of those for Arbor Valley. You have questions? It's a pretty standard engineering agreement.
Council, any questions? Councilmember Kerstetter.
I gotta ask that. Going back in, no, it's actually a financial question. It's going to be assessed into the special taxes like everything else. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Because then it'd be Mr. Smith answering a question. So if it wasn't, thank you.
Any other questions?
Make a motion to approve the agreement between the City of Valley Center and JEO Consulting Group for design of paving and water improvements for the Arbor Valley subdivision in the amount of $128,400.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, where are we? Item E, review of VAC 2021-01.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a vacation that was passed and approved during the last planning and zoning meeting that was held last Thursday. This is a cleanup of kind of where the two-story duplexes are on 3rd and Ash on that corner. After everything was built and the final survey and all those things came out to kind of give its final blessing, we identified that, well, where the right-of-way and where the property lines that we thought existed weren't necessarily where they exist. And so this is a little bit of a cleanup work. This is very common in older parts of the community when it comes to various property owners throughout the course of history when it comes to laying out older sections of town with property lines, alleyways, right-of-ways. And so this is a situation that we did have PC look into as well. We've been working on this for a number of weeks now, making sure that all parties involved, the property owner to the east, as well as the property owner that built the duplexes, that everybody legally signed all the documentation, and then brought in Mr. Arbuckle, making sure that the vacation was done properly as well. And so all this is cleanup work for that area, so then they can get some tenants in there, because I know they've been pounding down the door waiting to move in. I'll stand for any questions and really turn any technical questions over to Mr. Golka.
Councilmember Gregory.
I have no problem with the vacating of the alleyway. I'm familiar with that. But is the person, the owner, the property owner to the east getting any kind of remuneration?
Not to my knowledge. No.
Should they? I guess what I'm asking, are we taking anything away from their property?
Josh, you want to address this?
So the discrepancy that we found in lot lines occurred somewhere in the 1948 timeframe, where this lot in particular, out of the entire block of lots, appears to have shifted 15 feet west. And I think if you ask any professional land surveyor, they'll tell you that surveyors are always going to find a little bit of discrepancy. 15 feet's obviously a lot, but not uncommon to the age. So the area that we are obtaining as an easement for the property to the east has in fact been used as an alleyway for public utilities for the better part of 70 years. It's been a paved alleyway that Public Works has maintained. We've got overhead electric, underground telecommunications, a city sanitary sewer. So we are in practice not taking any area from the property owner that the city hasn't already been maintaining.
Okay, thank you.
And just for clarification, in my mind, you're talking about parcels C and D in this picture, right? There we go.
The blue.
The blue,
About
the blue.
Yes.
Right.
I just want to make sure we were thinking the same lane.
And if you look on Sedgwick County GIS, you'll see where the actual alleyway is being used and where the property lines are. There is a structure, there as well, garage, and I know that they want to do some fencing and those things. So, they're very, eager to get it cleaned up and making sure that they know what they own, which was interesting because they had just recently purchased that property, and that was not identified during the acquisitions.
Yeah.
A lot of times that's uncovered during title searches and.
You mean like the fact that that land was zoned over there commercial and they bought it not knowing that it was, things like that. Only this has been around for a long time and it took forever to find it. So, all right. Any other questions?
I make a motion to approve VAC-2021-01 and vacation order.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. All righty. Item F, ordinance 1368-21, rezoning of property immediately north of 596 West First Street East. Wow. Too many north, south, east, and west in that statement.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Hopefully, the map and staff report, of course, is a lot easier to identify than that description. And so this is off of Sheridan Avenue, is what I call it, Sheridan Avenue and First East Street. And so this section is located just to the north of 596. The property owner, or new property owner, Mr. Jeff Pritchard, is with us this evening. This does come with favorable recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Board for the rezoning the property to then include and build some duplexes in this location. As you read from Mr. Ryan Schrack's extensive staff report, it does meet the characteristics of that area. We did receive feedback from the property owner at 220 that was not in favor of this rezoning application. And so they did follow the process and file their formal letter with the Community Development Department to making sure that their voices were heard as well. That's the only letter that we received for this issue. And that property owner was in attendance during the Planning and Zoning meeting last Thursday. But it does come with favorable recommendation from city staff as it does meet the characteristics of that area, and believe that it will be a great addition to our community as we continue to grow and increase in our housing needs. Stand for any questions.
Council. Councilmember Gregory.
Actually, a question for Mr. Pritchard.
Yes.
What's going to happen with 596?
The old house is in really bad shape.
Yeah. Not that we don't know who you are, but we have to have it for the record.
Richard, 205 North Fiddler's Creek Court. The old house is in really bad shape. I think it was built in 1885. And we've started rehabbing that house. It's going to be a nice 4-bedroom, 3-bath house when it's done.
So you're going to keep it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Councilmember Kerstetter.
Just stay right there. So in my opinion, keeping the large backyard would be a nice selling point for a family. So why, other than money, why do you want to?
Well, it's going to be a rental. 596 will be a rental.
Yeah. Oh, so the bigger house will be a rental. Okay. I didn't know if you were didn't realize you were going to sell it. But
No, I'm not going to sell it. I'm going to maintain ownership and manage it as a rental.
okay. I understand.
It
Okay.
just makes sense with a big lot like that. Highest best use for the ground to, do something with it.
Okay. That makes sense. My opinion, I'm not in favor of splitting the lot though, just for maintaining the single family. What's the right word? I guess the area is more of a single family area, not necessarily.
Duplex is right across the street.
Oh, I know that, sir. But I guess I can't see having a duplex right next to it
Well, we're
with
going to
no
build
backyard.
a $350,000 duplex there.
That's okay.
Tax base, and it's
Sometimes that doesn't matter to people. Thank you.
Doesn't it?
There's at least one other person.
Councilmember Anderson.
Looking at the sheer size of these lots, and in the presentation of this being well within our size requirements for a lot split, and knowing the rest of that neighborhood and the mix of single family and duplexes between there and the railroad tracks, it's kind of a hodgepodge of houses that have been there for, I don't know, some have been there 70 years. And I think this is absolutely within what we have in that area. And that picture right there shows the absolute sheer magnitude size of what that lot was prior to a lot split. And so I'm fully in favor of doing this. I understand the reservations of the neighborhood or the neighbor, but in my head, I didn't realize the sheer size of that lot until you see that. So that pretty much speaks for itself, and I'm fully in favor of it.
Okay, there's twice now I've heard council members say lot split. This is not a lot split.
No, this is a rezoning. So that's the first step in the process, is making sure that the zoning change happens first, of course, then before any lot splits or any of those types of things. What's outlined here is really the justification, the reasoning why to approve or so in front of you to approve potentially the rezoning. That does meet all the zoning requirements when it comes to the setback and the characteristics of that area for that piece in blue. And so this is kind of showing you, for the rezoning side, and the lot split will occur then thereafter.
I apologize for misspeaking there.
And you weren't the only one. So I just wanted to make sure we had it clear what we were talking about here. So Councilmember Stam.
I just want to reiterate what Councilman Anderson said. I'm for this. I think it's a mixture of stuff over there. And with that, I will make a motion to approve ordinance 1368-21, rezoning of land located immediately north of 596 West First Street, Valley Center, Kansas, 67147 for first reading.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Councilmember Kerstetter, did you have a follow-up?
Oh, I guess I misread something.
I think where you got lot split was it was in the justification for the rezoning.
That's probably
That
what it was.
that is a first step before the lot split. That after the lot split is complete, that this still stands alone as an eligible square footage size lot for multifamily. And so in the wording, I just looked at it again, of course, on our website at valleycenterks.org. go underneath the agendas and you can look at all this information, just like all of us here. And so it states it in that letter of request from the applicant that that is for the potential lot split, that it does justify the rezoning because the square footage for that new lot, the west 100 north 130 feet does meet the requirements for the square footage of multifamily.
So,
Go ahead.
okay, so the way it's worded right here indicates it's going to be a split area, right?
After this, the next step will be,
The next step, okay.
but he can't go, yeah.
Yep. You have to love planning and zoning codes. They're multi-step processes that then give the opportunity, though, to all the residents and everyone in that area to voice their concerns, their opinions on these matters. And so notification will go out again over the next step. And so it really gives an opportunity for the citizens to contact their elected officials and voice their concerns if they have any.
Well, now you can see why our confusion, though.
Yep,
Yep,
I
absolutely.
did, which is why I wanted to make sure we had it cleared up.
Thank you,
And,
Mayor.
and in the motion, you see it, I mean, in through this whole document, it says to the land located immediately north, which means the spot where the house is will not become rezoned. And by the way, that house has been sitting there empty for such a long time. I'm actually kind of glad somebody finally bought it, and now at least I know some, but now that I know I know it'll be taken care of and put back into shape decently. So, but yeah, that's driven me nuts for years since seeing that house sitting there. So,
And it's an ideal location, right by West Elementary School, and it will take no time as soon as it's done being renovated to rent out.
all right. Any other questions? We do have a motion and a second on the floor. Seeing none, all in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-2. All righty. Item G, approval of Encode Brazos e-ticket system.
Where's Chief at?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight we bring to you our proposal from Tyler Technologies for the new Brazos e-ticket system. Earlier this year, we did approve a new e-ticket system in the 2022 budget. This is what that proposal came back as from Tyler. Tyler is currently the provider of our ERP systems that we use Encode. So everything will integrate together. It will integrate seamlessly with all police duties and writing tickets, and it'll even flow immediately into our court management system within Encode right now. Because there's two things police officers and doctors have in common is their handwriting, and this will make everything much more extremely manageable to read and eliminate many double entry processes and things like that. So when we originally presented it, we set aside $23,000 in the budget. It did come back slightly higher than that. And then the police department operating budget will absorb the annual maintenance fees.
Questions? Councilmember Kerstetter.
So we approved the 23,000 already. Does this mean that we need to amend the budget for next year already, or?
No, there's plenty of contingency and cushion within the emergency equipment fund to handle the
Okay,
couple thousand excess.
I just know that whole process that takes forever. I just want to.
No, we don't need to do that.
All right, perfect.
Councilmember Gregory.
I see that the setup is based on the Sedgwick County parent, the child setup, the parent setup.
Right.
Do we know for sure that that will happen? Is Sedgwick County signed on to this?
So Captain Vogt might be able to speak a little more to that, but
Yeah, Sedgwick County and most of the surrounding agencies already in the mix of doing the records management system. It's going to happen because it's part of the computer-aided dispatch platform. So that system is designed to where calls from the CAD can be rolled into doing reports and then also rolling that into records management. So it's a major platform that's going to do a lot of things and take out a lot of steps. It's going to make it a lot more seamless.
But they aren't going to say, no, you can't.
No, there's other agencies that are doing citations. There's also evidence management, a part of this that different departments are doing.
Okay.
Part of the big sell was that because it's a Tyler Technologies product and a lot of departments are already using other components of Tyler Technologies, and because of that, it would integrate into that.
Yeah.
Companies doing different things.
Okay, thank you.
Let me just clarify. So what you're saying is the county is finally moving into the 20th century.
Yes.
Okay. And clear, I know what I said, and that's what I meant, okay? The 20th century. Not, they're still behind, but we're good.
A big part of the records management system, why Sedgwick County got the small towns involved because of law enforcement, record research, that sort of thing, because they've got 2 or 3 different platforms, and other towns were using different stuff, and it was difficult for everybody to see everybody else's stuff when we're all dealing with the same people a lot of the time, and just made things with information sharing a lot simpler.
And as it should be, because Sedgwick County, all the different city or all the different law enforcement agencies that operate inside Sedgwick County really rely on Sedgwick County and should be, so they should all be, just based on all the previous stuff, like how the sheriff is given all the officers, you have multiple jurisdiction stuff, it's been like that for a long time. And this is just, me with technology, guys, anything that's going to make life easier and simpler, that should have probably been done 15 years ago, but at least it's happening. So
It simplifies a lot of the access to the database.
Yep.
Everybody can see and not have special permissions. It's all kind of like a one-stop shop, kind of thing for law enforcement purposes. So.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
Is the city of Wichita using this one too?
Nah, they will. They'll cave.
Or not yet?
They've got something different. I don't know if they're going to ever join on the same platform as everybody else.
Okay. But it sounds like the rest of the county is moving to this platform. Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
Motion to approve the agreement with Brazos and schedule implementation for early 2022.
Second?
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you. We just skipped the next item. Item H, approval of 2022 water rates.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, once again. Hey, I didn't even sit down. How about that? So for this item tonight, we're going to talk about our water rates for 2022. If you recall from last year, we took a deep dive into the rates and consumption analysis and all the data from the city of Wichita, and we kind of came up with a plan. So as long as Wichita contains their increases at 6.5% or below, we'll be able to maintain what we implemented last year for 2022, 23, and 24 as we work towards that ultimate goal of building and getting that water treatment plant up and going. So with that, as you can see, Wichita, once again, this year increased the water side of their rates 6.5%. I think they increased the sewer 4.5 to 5%, somewhere around there. It's like an average of 5.13 total. So what that does for us is basically adds an extra $34,000 to $35,000 per year in cost to buy the water. So helping us offset that, our Public Works Department has done great at managing our raw water wells, getting maintenance plans put in place so they can pump 24 hours a day all the time. And as you can see on the revenues there, our sale of water to Wichita increased almost $30,000 this year. So this year, that's going to be that net effect there. In the future, all our future development coming in, offsetting that increase in Wichita, we'll settle those first couple of years. And then also lowering that water subsidy to sewer for the wastewater treatment plant bond payment will assist in that as well. So right as we get to the end of this 4-year timeline and we flip that switch for the water treatment plant, we should be perfectly fine. So what we're proposing tonight is basically keep our water rate system the same as we implemented in 2021. All base rates will stay frozen. Tier 1 rates will stay at $5 per thousand. And then tier 2 and tier 3 will get the 4% annual.
Council, questions? Councilmember Anderson.
I just have a comment. I'm impressed that, I mean, no one likes to have any increases, but for us to absorb last year and to maintain this year, it's impressive compared to Wichita, especially when we're working with a smaller population. We don't have the, no pun intended, we don't have the absorption ability that they do with the number of people they're working with. So, and I can't wait until we get our own filtration system done and can control our costs better. But for this, I'm pretty impressed by this, and thank you for all your work on it. I know it wasn't easy. There's a lot of number crunching.
That's what I love to do.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
I'm going to reiterate some of what Mr. Anderson said, that keeping tier 1 frozen is great. My only question is why are we increasing sewer rates by 2.5?
That's just by ordinance. That's our annual
Oh, that's
2.5
the annual-
increase.
okay.
That keeps us maintaining with our operating and debt service requirements for the
Okay, so
sewer
it's
fund.
like inflation kind of, okay,
That's just our standard annual increase,
Okay.
yeah.
perfect. That makes more sense now.
And council, I'd like to add, and I'm not trying to blow my own horn here, but some of us, I think, were on here back when we did the rate study a while back, where the recommendations were to do increases as we got further down the line, we should have enough to be able to deal with raises. I mean, that was even long before, it really wasn't long before, because even at that time, we had discussed our own water treatment facility, but that was before we had the wells, and we really didn't think it was a feasible thing that's going to happen. So I think having that water rate study done back then, which is helping now to keep us from getting crazy with the way Wichita's running too. So there was some foresight back, and I don't remember how long it was. It was a while back, but I'm glad there was some foresight in that at that time too to deal with it. So, all right. So is there any other questions? Is there a motion?
I move to approve, I'm sorry, I move to increase sewer rates by 2.5%, increase the tier 2 and tier 3 water rates by 4%. All base charges and tier 1 rates will remain the same as 2021.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Resolution 710-21, our annual gap waiver request.
Once again. So yes, this is our annual gap waiver request.
Just for clarity, because our future council member is here, so why don't we just really quickly explain what the gap waiver request is so he can listen.
Right. So GAP stands for General, wow.
Oh, Barry.
Generally
Pause
accepted
there.
accounting practices.
Generally accepted accounting practices.
Generally accepted accounting practices of the United States. So with that comes with certain requirements, and a city of our size, we just don't have the means and infrastructure in place basically to complete those financial statements. So the Kansas state statutes say that we can go by a regulatory basis, which is basically a cash basis system, which we've gone by for, I can't even remember when
I
that
can either, because
started.
it started long before, it was Chris,
I mean,
he
it's
started
10
this.
plus years easy.
Yep.
So basically, we just follow the state statutes rather than the GAP requirements. Now, sometimes certain items, certain funding mechanisms do require a GAP type audit, but we currently have none of those items that would require that at this time. So we strictly just go by the KMAG auditing system and regulatory basis, cash basis accounting.
All right.
Move to approve Resolution 710-21, gap waiver.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving right along, approval of scope of services contract with PEC for Meridian Project.
Would you like to start? Okay.
It says both of our names, so I'm on.
Yeah, you're both going to need to be up there. But don't you dare say good evening, okay? Just say, how you doing?
Duly noted.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you. There you go. All right.
I'm hoping for a yes this evening. But no, so good news. We've been working closely with WAMPO and their staff over the better part of the last 3 months. They found some additional monies through project efficiencies elsewhere. We applied for additional funding and received notification that the Meridian projects, which include from Main to Fifth Street, as well as from the railroad tracks through the south side of town, south of 69th, were to receive an additional $1.5 million in funding. So excellent, excellent news there, which is allowing us to incorporate some additional improvements that previously weren't in the scope. Primarily, those are the 69th Street intersection. We've met with the county on that to discuss some different options, as well as streetscape improvements. So for those of you who were around during the Meridian project in 2015, 2016, and is still outside of our front doors here today, we'll see, sidewalk, the pavement, enjoy the benefits of the storm sewer improvements, but we didn't incorporate any streetscape elements into that project. Taking advantage of these federal funds, we now have the ability to not just do, more sidewalk, but also come back with plantings and irrigation and hardscape elements such as pause points or benches, any number of things that your mind can think of when you think of streetscape. Basically, it's that next step, that quality of life enhancement in addition to just the public infrastructure. So our project budget is based around 1.2 million. Of the 1.5 going towards the paving, drainage, utilities, the municipal infrastructure side of things. And then we've got a $300,000 budget set aside for the streetscape specific elements. So with this budget amendment comes some additional design responsibilities from our staff. Proposals included in your packet this evening that outlines our scope of services to basically incorporate those additional municipal infrastructure and streetscape related elements. Any questions?
Just for clarification, and I know you mentioned it, but the way it's worded, we're talking about both halves of the project, the Meridian project, the south end and the north end. Both projects are included in this conversation here.
Yes.
Because I know it's listed as Meridian project, but I'm not sure people are aware that we've taken,
And we've
combined them into one project and into the Meridian. So I just wanted to get that clarified out there.
Yes, because originally, of course, the south side, the south section of Meridian was slated to be happening earlier. But of course, we amended the tip with WAMPO and really, saw the potential cost savings with bidding the project as one large project versus two individual projects, as well as, you all and the city did a beautiful overlay on that section of Meridian from the train track south. So it was nice to get a few more years out of those hard-earned dollars that were put in that project. And so, yes, the two were combined, but then it did delay the overall project from starting on the south side and combining the two into one Meridians.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
How can you follow that?
I was just thinking that myself. How are you going to follow?
Well done.
Well, see, with the streetscaping now, Councilman Kerstetter, it's Meridians. It's a little classier now.
All right. Just like your tie. So two questions. And I think you hinted on it a little bit, but we're going to address the drainage issue that starts at the Main and Meridian intersection and going north.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then funding, how are we paying for this?
With that additional funding and other funding sources and partnerships we've established over the time, and with our grant funding from WAMPO, that all makes a play into this. But additionally, any other money that comes up would just go into bonding for the whole project. So,
and this is kind of do we have to come up with this all up front, or do we pay PEC? I'm sure it's in here and I didn't see it. A certain percentage every so often, or how does payment done?
It just depends on whatever contract's in place. There's lump sums, there's 30-day invoicing. Right now we pay every 30 days towards a portion of the project. But when we do those project authorizations, like we did this evening for Arbor Valley, anything that happens 60 days before those authorizations are approved, we can be reimbursed for when we go and get temporary note financing and then bonding.
Okay.
So it's kind of like cash up front and then we'll reimburse ourselves later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All righty. Any other questions?
I make a motion to approve PEC supplement agreement for Meridian project in the amount of $111,740 and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you. Item K, approval of 6 PM start time for the January 4th, 2022 City Council meeting.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. I feel like I've been up here the entire night. So this comes before you from staff, looking at the calendars of January 4th and really getting the oath of offices and all those things done. We are requesting a start time, 6 PM for the January 4th meeting. This should be the only time that we have to start at 6 PM that we can see, but just with scheduling conflicts, this would be the best start time for us to get everything done in adequate time. I'll stand for any questions.
Move to approve the January 4th, 2022 regular city council meeting be called to order at 6 PM.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
There will be no dinner provided. Oops, sorry.
You can't go past 8 PM.
Done. Absolutely done,
Yeah,
sir.
it won't be a longer meeting. There's other reasons why it has to do with people not being able to make it. So that's why it's been moved back.
So it has to do with, not being able to attend at 7 PM with our new incoming council member due to some basketball game issues. Of course.
You know what? I'm glad you brought it up. 'Cause I wasn't going to start
Hornets.
picking on him till he got sworn in, but since he's here, yeah, it's all his fault.
No dinner.
But it does come at the request of a city staff. So then, the oath of office, all those things are done in public, and then there's a nice transition.
Yeah.
We just weren't able to do that 7 PM this go around, but
That's fine. You just can't go past 8.
no problem. I'll be shocked if we're here at 6:30, Councilman Kurtzetter.
Perfect.
All right. Do we have a motion and a second on the floor, I believe, right?
Yes, sir.
All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Moving on. Item 13, consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve it, consent agenda as presented.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Move along to staff reports. We will jump off to Mr. Owens. Okay. Captain vote. Mr. Goka.
I'm confident that not many people noticed, but traffic control has been added to Ford Street. And this came as a bit of a surprise. While we're excited with the partnering opportunity that we have with Kansas Gas, they're relocating their facilities ahead of our reconstruction of Ford Street, the drainage improvements, the paving improvements, and the water line extension to serve our 2 new subdivisions coming online here. We did not anticipate work to begin until after the first of the year. Material came in ahead of schedule and they hit the ground running. So they're going to get a few days worth of work done. They will remove the traffic control and open the street to 2-way through traffic for the holidays. Not a lot of work will occur between the 24th and the 3rd, 4th. So we'll open that back up so families coming and going have better access. We apologize for the inconvenience, the lack of notice. We have since reacted to that and posted that to the city's website. And we'll continue to work with Kansas Gas and their staff on any updates that may occur.
All right. I'm a little ticked about this. And you're the project management group. So yes, I'm going to take it out on you. However, we pay Kansas Gas to do this, right? This is part of the project. We're paying them to move this, aren't we?
As a franchise utility, they have the right to use your right of way, but they move at their own expense when the city.
So that we're not paying for that?
Correct.
Oh, then in that case, I'm not going to get too upset.
Sorry to steal your.
That explains a lot, is the fact that that's why they don't care and they're not listening to us, because they're not getting any money out of it. And they're doing it at their own pace without sharing what they're doing, kind of like the railroads.
Yeah, I don't believe there was any malicious intent.
No, I don't think there was either, but
communication breakdown between their office and their field staff.
You know, we had been, PEC as well as city staff had been in contact with their office staff, their planning group, their design group.
Yep.
Had all of this in place. We were expecting a traffic control plan. And then it was literally Monday morning talking to Mr. Smith. And I was like, hey, there were some cones popping up, and panic ensues.
Well, again, and then, yeah, they're doing it not, I mean, it's not coming out of our pocket. So I get where, they're probably saying, and we really don't have a whole lot of recourse. So that's why I asked if we're paying them to move this, because then we would have some recourse
Right.
for them screwing us up, but it makes a whole lot more sense. So, okay, that's all I had. Councilmember Anderson.
Couple of requests. First, I'll ask the question. Do we have any clue? I know you said they're going to take it down when they're not working over the holidays. Do we have any clue how long the relocation is going to take? Did they have any?
They
Yes.
have a March 1 completion date, because that's our intended timeframe to execute a contract and start the paving improvements.
Do we see any way possible to allow one-way traffic, especially coming back into town? I've seen several things on social media. Obviously, people were frustrated along with city staff of what happened. And initially it was allowing traffic to come back westbound, and then it was shut off completely. And I understand that has to do with their risk and their equipment that they have on the road. Is there any way to, this kind of flows into my next request, is have better communication through maybe the app or whatever notices we send out, so that people are aware, because once it gets on social media, it takes on a life of its own. And I think we stay out in front of stuff and communicate the best that we have the ability to do. It will help, especially from a PR standpoint. And this is the beginning of this project. So that's kind of my question / request of if we can have communication with them and know when the roads, are they just going to be completely shut down as far as you know?
Yeah, so that was the intent, for them to work within the time frame, so that when the weather breaks for March 1, we're ready and don't continue to delay the paving project, because we're frankly, it's hard to think about, fall of 2022 getting into 2023, but we're going to be up against the meridians. And now, do you want to have two major thoroughfares under construction at the same time? So we definitely made some allowances with Kansas Gas in their road closures to work with them on their time frame. I will say the better part of our last 36 hours has been reinforcing the processes and the timelines and the communication that the city staff really endeavors on these type of things. Nobody takes unnotified closures more seriously than me. That's been a big learning point in my career. So I appreciate your comments, and we'll continue to get better.
Okay. But I just want to reiterate with city staff that we need to make sure we stay on top of, and not that we don't do a good job of it, because since we've had the alerts and all that, I think it's been, in our website and everything has been great. So I just want to make sure we stay on top of that, because there's been some grumpy Gus's on social media. So,
and of course, as soon as we, found out about that information, we didn't want to put out information that we weren't aware of, and factual information. So you never want to put out items until you get all the facts first. The entire time throughout the course of this project, and especially with Kansas Gas, the plan was to close the entire section of road when they were working on relocating the gas line. And the one-way traffic just happened actually by the traffic control, and not by Kansas Gas, per the plans that we had all discussed ahead of time. So it was new to Kansas Gas as well yesterday when they were notified that it was one-way traffic instead of closed down entirely. So there was a tremendous amount of confusion, and hopefully now folks are understanding what we're doing right now, and that we will do a much better job with communicating that moving forward in this project. And yes, we'll be open temporarily, and then it'll be closed again. So please, everyone, if you're not signed up on the city app, please sign up for the city app. Matt Kane does a phenomenal job at getting those push notifications sent out. But if you're not signed up for the app, you're not going to receive them. Do follow our social media. We do post on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on our website. So all those places get hit simultaneously with that information as far as road closures and any updates to those closures as well. We try to get an adequate map immediately so that people can see what's going on. So I do apologize for the confusion. and hopefully we do a better job moving forward.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
It's just piggyback on the utility questions. Is this the only one that's going to be like road closures as far as utility relocations?
So AT&T also has some work in the area. Their relocations are kind of spot locations. So you may see some barricades, some temporary.
Nothing this significant?
Not full road closure, not
Okay.
that we're anticipating.
Thanks.
Were there, and I haven't been over there yet because I try to avoid construction zones whenever they are. Are there any signs up there, the electronic signs? I didn't notice.
Have
Is it just,
electronic message boards.
No.
It's just the stationary signs.
if might be something we look at considering we're taking them away and putting them back, taking them away, putting them back, we might want to, that way it's constantly, I don't know. And I don't know how much that costs to rent those, but I think they should give them to us for nothing since they screwed it up to begin with. The traffic control place, because the plan was to close the whole road off and it was their idea to make it a one-way street. So, but just a thought.
And I do know Rodney Eggleston, he told me just this afternoon that he's been in contact with them about little electronic signs and trying to come up with the game plan. We now have, the personal cell phone for the foreman on the job site. So that person will be getting multiple phone calls on a daily basis.
Okay. All right.
I have nothing additional.
All right. Thank you, sir. Mr. Arbuckle. Smith?
Just three real quick items. We recently partnered with DCF, Department of Children and Families of the state of Kansas. They've been allocated a source of funding to assist families that are battling financial hardship for their utility bills. So we got all the paperwork filed and sent it to DCF. They've accepted our partnership, and then we'll get some informational material up on social media and the websites and everything in the near future.
Cool.
We officially completed our transition to KPNF that will take effect January 1 of 2022. So congratulations and thank you for everyone's hard work on that. It's greatly appreciated. Last item I had was starting in January as well. I've been selected to join the Kansas Government Finance Officers Association. I know that acronym. To their board of directors. So I'll start a 2-year term with them in January and I look forward to doing that. Very much.
All right. Do I have to? Mr. Clark.
I've talked a lot tonight, but I'm not done. Good evening again. And I also do want to let you all know, I don't know if it's public knowledge, it's going to be now. Oh, well. That our very own Mr. Barry Smith was selected from the Wichita Business Journal to be a CFO awardee for the nomination of a chief financial officer. So he'll be recognized as a up-and-coming award-winning CFO in the Wichita region from the Wichita Business Journal coming up in January. So I want to commend him for that. And also I'll have more information coming up for the banquet and all those things for all of us to attend and support Mr. Smith in all of his endeavors. So round of applause for Mr. Barry Smith. '21 is almost over. Can you believe it? It has been an exciting year. It flew by. It feels like since we really returned as full staff and fully back in the offices in May of 2020 that we have had the foot on the gas pedal the entire time. It has not slowed down. And it's really because of all the great leadership and forward thinking from the mayor and council. We appreciate all your leadership. Us as city staff looking forward to an exciting 2022 with a lot of developments upcoming and seeing a lot of these decisions that you've made over the course of the last many years come to fruition and get shovels in the ground. So I want to thank you all for your continued support, as well as thank all the department heads, PEC, and all the citizens for all their support throughout 2021 as we wrap a bow on this year and move to the next. Also in 2022, we'll be hitting the ground running with our new development on the parks side of things with the recreation center and aquatics complex. And so after the first year, that committee will get back together, decide what approach to take. And I do have to say that the sales tax, like, as you can see from the financial reports that you receive, is coming in nicely. And so we are now in a position to take the next step in 2022 as planned on getting that group back together and deciding what method and really designing the actual facility that we will then start construction on, hopefully sometime in potentially fall of 22, if not in the spring, winter of 23, spring of 23. If you have any questions, as always, go to our website, valleycenterks.org, or give me a call on my cell phone, 308-870-2150. And it is an honor and privilege serving as your city administrator. Happy New Year and Merry Christmas.
And now back to our regularly scheduled program. All right, moving on to governing body reports. I would like to just report that I was asked to speak at the Wreaths Across America presentation that the DAR and Legion did at the cemetery last Saturday. Councilmember Colbert was there. As I understand it, the crowd was not what they had normally had in the past, but we did sponsor them, which is why they asked me to say a few words. They had plenty of wreaths. They had all the wreaths of all the people identified in our cemetery, of all the veterans, and I think they found 2 or 3 more that weren't actually identified but had 3 more. Yep, 3 more that they didn't have on the list, but fortunately there were enough wreaths to cover that. So every veteran that is at rest in our cemetery had a wreath put on their grave on Saturday. So, and of course, and I'm sure, this is the one nice thing about being first is I can say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's. Thank you, staff, for all you've done this year. It is truly, truly appreciative. We are blessed to have such a great set of people working for us. So with that said, move over to Councilmember Stam.
I just want to recognize Paul Davis. It's his last meeting.
It's not really. It's his last full meeting.
Full meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for the 4 years.
All right. Councilmember Davis.
I really don't have anything tonight.
Councilmember Anderson.
I just want to echo what Mr. Clark and Lou said both about city staff. And I mean all of our staff. 2021 has been the full year having to deal with having to navigate COVID and requirements and everything else. Top to bottom, it's been amazing how much work you put in for this city, and I want to make sure you guys know you're appreciated. So thank you. Merry Christmas.
Councilmember Gregory.
I can't add any more to that, but I echo it.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
I have a question. Did we get any wind damage from that wonderful windstorm?
I did see the snap light pole.
City property.
We had some down power lines. We did have a school crossing sign over by West Elementary that did break. A new one is on order. So some of those items. Unfortunately, some of our own city staff experienced more damage at their personal home. Sorry, Captain Boat, for your roof. And not any major damage that some of the other communities unfortunately experienced.
Okay.
So it was pretty impressive. If you haven't, over by where Councilmember Colbert lives, one of those older concrete streetlight poles
Oh yeah.
snapped.
Yeah.
That was impressive. I mean, I know those have probably been there since the
Still swinging.
70s, but it was interesting when I went over and saw that it actually snapped. It was
Okay. So I'm echo what everybody else has been saying, and Merry Christmas and see you next year.
Councilmember Wilson.
Reiterating just what several of you have said up here already, the staff here within this city makes our job so much easier. The information they provide us that gets us set ready for these meetings, I can't imagine a better group of people to get things together and get it right the first time. And I really appreciate that. It makes my life a lot easier. And I surely hope that citizens of this city can recognize that this city is moving so quickly forward in the right direction. And it's all because of the city staff that we have behind this. So thank you again, and Merry Christmas. And I'm looking forward to 2022.
Councilmember Colbert.
Yeah, basically, I want to just confirm with everybody that my vote of no on the school board was not that I didn't want the school board. I'm just worried about people now from different organizations who are wanting to put their signs on the wall. First, that's the first thing. Second thing is, there's going to be quite a few projects for veterans coming up in the next 6 months to the end of the year that we'll be bringing more information probably about March or April. And we hope that we can get those programs through. Third thing is everybody have a happy new year, a very Merry Christmas. And things have been really great for the city. I expect a large growth within the next 48 months. Other than that, if there's no other business, I'll make a motion the meeting be adjourned.
Second.
To the second to adjourn. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Meeting adjourned. See y'all next year.
At 6 o'clock.